We're constantly, bombarded with messages about productivity, getting more done, maximize those waking hours.
Right. Always on.
Exactly. But then you hear something like, sleep is the best meditation from the Dalai Lama, and it makes you stop and think.
Mm-hmm.
It's the very thing we always seem to sacrifice, actually the foundation for, well, everything else.
That's really the core of what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into the science behind sleep and why it's just so much more critical than, simply feeling rested.
Okay.
And our exploration, it's going to draw from a couple of interesting places. A look at healthcare investments, strategy there, but also these really detailed scientific insights from the science and importance of sleep.
Right.
That's both an article and the Lifelines podcast transcript with Dr. Sruta Ram Vishnoi from Astute Medic.
So the mission today is really to get beyond just sleep is good. We want to figure out why it's this absolute biological must-have. What happens when we mess it up consistently? And maybe most importantly, how can we all actually get better at this really fundamental part of just being healthy? Okay, so let's start right there. Why does sleep pack such a punch? Why does it matter so much?
Well, the common idea, I think, is that sleep is just downtime, passive, your body's off.
Right, just resting.
But what's really fascinating and what both our sources really hit home on is how incredibly active our bodies and brains are when we're asleep. It's a period of intense work.
Active work, like what?
Okay, so for instance, the body is actively repairing tissues, stuff that got damaged during the day. It's not just like passively healing, it's an active repair process.
Huh. It's like the body's own maintenance crew clocking in while we're out.
That's a great way to put it.
And it's not just physical repairs.
Right.
I noticed both the article and the podcast really zeroed in on the immune system connection. How does that work?
It's actually quite direct. Sleep is a huge driver for a strong immune response. When we don't get enough sleep, our bodies produce fewer of these things called cytokines.
Cytokines?
Yeah, they're signaling proteins, super important for fighting off inflammation, infections. So if you're constantly short on sleep, you're just making yourself significantly more vulnerable.
Wow.
And what struck me was how fundamental this link is. It's not some minor side effect, it's core.
That makes sense. You always hear people say they get sick when they're run down, not sleeping well.
Exactly. Stress and lack of sleep, classic combo.
So what other big jobs are happening during sleep that maybe we don't fully appreciate?
Hormone regulation is another big one. The article really highlighted this. Sleep helps keep all sorts of hormones in balance. Think of stress hormones, appetite hormones, even growth hormone.
Yeah.
And then there's memory consolidation. Both sources talked about this quite a bit.
Right, making memories stick.
Pretty much. While you sleep, your brain is actively processing the information you took in during the day. It's sorting, filing, solidifying what you learned. It's an active organizing process.
So sleep isn't just about resting the mind. It's actually building our understanding. That's fascinating.
It really is.
The article also mentioned something about the brain detoxifying during sleep. What's that about?
Yeah, this is a really significant area of research, relatively new too. Basically, while we're awake, our brain activity creates metabolic byproducts like waste.
Okay. Brain trash.
Kind of, yeah. And during sleep, this amazing system kicks in to clear that waste out. Think of it like a nightly cleaning service for your brain. It keeps the neural pathways clear and working properly.
Wow.
And the podcast, it really emphasized this broader restoration of physical health too, suggesting good sleep optimizes, well, pretty much all our bodily functions.
And the mental side seems just as critical, maybe even more so based on what the podcast was saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, the podcast really drilled down on how vital sleep is for mental health, especially for like emotional regulation and keeping your thinking clear.
Cognitive function.
Right. When we're consistently sleep deprived, we often get more irritable. Our moods can swing wildly, and our ability to focus, to think rationally, it really takes a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting, the podcast also linked good sleep directly to better productivity by making us more alert, better at making decisions.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many mistakes, big or small, happen just because someone was tired?
Exactly. It completely flips the script on that whole idea of, I'll sleep when I'm dead or pushing through to get more done.
Sounds like it actually backfires.
It really does seem to. And then if you zoom out, look long term, the podcast connects good sleep habits to potentially enhanced longevity.
Longer life. Oh.
Well, by suggesting that chronic sleep deficits can seriously up your risk for various chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, things like that, which obviously impacts lifespan. And the article echoes this. It says lack of sleep affects nearly every part of our health, way beyond just feeling tired. It paints sleep as this non-negotiable foundation.
Okay, the case is definitely made. Sleep is fundamental. So let's shift gears slightly. What's actually going on when we sleep? Both sources mentioned the sleep cycle. Tell us about this biological symphony.
Yeah, good term for it. Because our sleep isn't just one flat state, right? We cycle through different stages all night long.
Right.
The article mentions these cycles typically last, somewhere between 90 and 120 minutes. The podcast seemed to settle on a pretty consistent average of about 90 minutes per cycle.
So roughly an hour and a half for one full cycle.
Yeah, roughly. And what's neat is how consistent that basic rhythm is across most people.
And within those 90-minute loops, what are the different phases or stages we go through? The article broke it down into 4 stages.
It did. So according to the article, you start with light sleep. That's kind of the entry point, preparing you for deeper rest. Then you drop into deep sleep. This stage is absolutely crucial for physical recovery, repairing tissues, boosting that immune function we talked about.
The really restorative stuff.
Exactly. And then comes REM sleep, rapid eye movement. That's when most vivid dreaming happens, and it's critical for learning, memory, processing emotions.
REM, okay. And the 4th stage in the article?
Well, it implicitly mentioned that very initial lightest stage as you first drift off, sort of the gateway before the main light sleep stage.
Got it. Now, the podcast had a slightly different way of framing it, focusing on REM and non-REM sleep.
Yeah, complementary, really. The podcast outlined REM sleep, just like the article, vivid dreams, memory, emotions. It said it makes up maybe 25% of our total sleep time.
A quarter of the night.
Roughly.
Right.
Then there's non-REM sleep, which the podcast broke down further.
Yeah.
You have N1, which is that super light initial drifting off stage, easy to wake up from.
Okay.
Then N2, still light sleep, but your body temp drops, heart rate slows down. You're getting ready for the deep stuff.
Preparing.
Exactly. And finally, N3. That's the deep, slow wave sleep. The podcast really highlighted this as the most restorative stage. Physical repair, regeneration. This is the stage that makes you feel truly rested when you wake up.
So N3 is the powerhouse for feeling refreshed.
That seems to be the case. What's fascinating is how each stage, whether you use the 4-stage model or the REM non-REM N1 and 3 model, seems to have its own very specific, very important job.
So pulling that together, it seems like the big message is that good sleep isn't just about how many hours you clock in bed.
Precisely. That's a key point from the article. Truly high-quality sleep means getting enough total hours, yes, but also spending enough time in each of these critical stages. And the podcast really backs this up. It recommends aiming for about 7 to 9 hours for most adults. Why? Because that allows for roughly 4 to 6 complete 90-minute cycles through all the stages.
So you get enough of the deep sleep, enough REM.
Exactly. You need the whole package. It's not just quantity. It's about getting adequate time in each essential phase of the cycle.
Okay. We get why it's important, what happens during it. Now, the flip side, let's talk consequences. Poor sleep. It's clearly more than just feeling a bit tired, right? What are some of the major downsides?
Oh yeah, both sources are crystal clear on this. The effects of bad sleep go way beyond just feeling groggy.
Like what?
Well, first off, a weakened immune system. The article highlights this, says it makes us more prone to infections. The podcast strongly backs that up. It's a direct hit to your body's defenses.
We mentioned that earlier. And it seems like metabolism and weight are involved too.
Definitely. The article points to potential weight gain and increased insulin resistance. The podcast connects those dots directly to a higher risk of developing obesity and even type 2 diabetes down the line.
Wow, serious stuff.
And there's more. Both sources really underscore the strong link between poor sleep and cardiovascular health. We're talking increased risks for high blood pressure, for heart disease. It's quite a cascade of negative effects.
It really sounds like a domino effect.
Yeah.
And the mental and emotional impact, that seems huge as well.
It really is. The article mentions mood disorders like anxiety and depression as potential outcomes from chronic poor sleep. The podcast adds increased irritability, trouble managing emotions.
I can see that.
And cognitively, big impact. Both sources talk about cognitive decline, memory problems. The podcast adds things like reduced concentration, slower reaction times.
Yeah, it affects how we think, how we feel, how we react.
Pretty much everything.
Oh.
It's sobering when you realize how much our ability to just function well, think clearly, learn, stay emotionally balanced is tied directly to how well we sleep.
And long-term picture is quite serious too, isn't it?
That's right. The article flat out states that persistent poor sleep is linked to a shorter lifespan.
Wow.
And the podcast elaborates, connecting it to that elevated risk of developing serious health conditions over time. But even short term, the article points out, just one night of bad sleep can mess with your focus and reaction time.
Which has real-world consequences.
Absolutely. Think about driving, operating machinery, making important decisions. It really makes you reconsider pulling an all-nighter, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It's, sobering to think how much rests on something we often just push to the side. Okay, so given all this, how much sleep do we actually need? The article had some specific guidelines based on age.
Yes, and these are good general targets to keep in mind. For adults, say 18 to 64, the recommendation is generally 7 to 9 hours a night.
7 to 9. Okay.
Older adults, 65 plus, might need slightly less, maybe around 7 to 8 hours.
Still substantial.
Oh, yeah. Then teenagers, they're still developing rapidly. They need more, typically 8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10 for teens. Got it.
And younger children, of course, need even more. It varies, but you're looking at 9 to 12 hours, sometimes even more for the really little ones.
Yeah, and it makes sense. These aren't just random numbers. They reflect biological needs at different life stages.
Exactly.
But as we discussed, just hitting those hour counts isn't the whole story. Quality matters just as much as quantity. Both sources hammered that home.
Absolutely crucial point.
So what are some signs that maybe your sleep quality isn't great, even if you think you're in bed for long enough?
Yeah, the article laid out some really clear red flags. One of the biggest, waking up consistently feeling tired, still feeling unrefreshed even after, say, 8 hours.
Okay, feeling tired despite sleeping. What else?
Relying heavily on caffeine just to get through the day. That's another big one.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
Many of us are. Also, experiencing frequent mood swings or just being generally more irritable than usual. That can be a sign.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the more obvious ones. Waking up a lot during the night or having real trouble falling asleep in the first place or staying asleep. Those are strong signals that your sleep quality might be compromised.
So it really comes down to how you feel and function during the day, not just the clock.
Precisely. It's about the outcome of your sleep.
These are definitely things many people can probably relate to. So the big question, what can we actually do about it? What practical steps improve sleep? The article had 7 habits for good sleep hygiene.
Yes, and like the article says, good sleep isn't usually just luck. It's something you design through supportive routines. Sleep hygiene.
Okay, habit number 1.
Consistency is king. Sticking to a regular sleep schedule. That means going to bed and waking up around the same time every single day.
Even weekends. Oof.
Yeah, even weekends, as much as possible. It really helps regulate your body's internal clock, that circadian rhythm. The podcast strongly backed this up too, called it fundamental.
Consistency. Got it. What's next?
Create a wind-down routine. This is vital. The article suggests starting maybe 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Dim the lights, put away the screen.
No phones.
Ideally no phones. Engage in calming activities. Maybe read a physical book, take a water bath, listen to calm music. The podcast had similar ideas. Anything that signals to your body, okay, it's time to shift gears and prepare for rest.
Creating a buffer zone between the busy day and sleep.
Exactly. You can't just slam the brakes at midnight and expect to fall asleep instantly.
Makes sense. What about food and drink? How do they affect things?
Big impact here. Both sources stressed limiting caffeine, especially later in the day. The article suggested maybe no caffeine after 2 p.m.
2 p.m., wow.
Yeah. And also avoiding heavy, spicy, or very sugary meals close to bedtime, say, within 2 hours or so.
Okay.
The podcast also specifically mentioned avoiding alcohol close to bedtime. It might make you feel sleepy initially, but it actually disrupts the quality of your sleep later in the night.
Right, it fragments sleep. Okay. What about exercise? Good for sleep,
Right.
but timing matters.
Exactly that. Regular physical activity definitely helps improve sleep quality overall. Both sources agreed on that. But doing intense workouts too close to bedtime can actually interfere with falling asleep. The recommendation is generally to finish vigorous exercise at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to hit the hay.
Give your body time to cool down and wind down.
Precisely.
Okay, next up. Making the bedroom a sleep sanctuary. What does that really mean?
It means creating an environment that is optimized purely for sleep.
Yeah.
The article stressed cool, dark, and quiet.
Cool, dark, quiet. The essentials.
Yes. And screen-free, ideally. Invest in comfortable bedding, maybe blackout curtains if you have light pollution, earplugs if there's noise. The podcast really supported this. Make your bedroom a haven dedicated to rest, not work or entertainment.
Treat it like sacred ground for sleep.
Kind of.
And the ever-present challenge,
Yeah.
screen time. Especially that blue light.
Oh, it's a big one in our modern world. That blue light from phones, tablets, computers, TVs, it messes with melatonin production.
Your sleep hormone.
Right. Melatonin basically tells your body it's nighttime, time to sleep. Blue light tells it, nope, still daytime. So the article suggests using blue light filters if you must use screens, but even better is just putting devices away well before bed.
How long before?
The podcast suggested aiming for at least an hour of screen-free time before you actually want to be asleep. Give your brain a chance to naturally start producing melatonin.
Easier said than done for a lot of us, myself included. Okay, and the last tip. It seemed a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, don't force it. If you're lying in bed, can't fall asleep after, say, 20 minutes or so, don't just lie there tossing and turning and getting frustrated.
Because that makes it worse.
Totally. It increases anxiety. So the advice from the article is get out of bed, go to another room, do something quiet and relaxing in dim light, like reading a boring book, maybe some gentle stretching. Then only go back to bed when you actually feel sleepy again.
Retrain your brain that bed is for sleeping, not worrying.
That's the idea. The podcast offered very similar advice. Break the association between bed and frustration.
The podcast also had that little extra tip, didn't it? About a snack.
Oh, yeah. It mentioned that for some people, a small, light snack containing tryptophan might be helpful before bed.
Tryptophan, like in turkey.
Yeah, but also things like a banana or a small handful of nuts. Nothing heavy, just a little something that might subtly support the body's natural sleep processes. Worth trying if you struggle with waking up hungry, maybe?
These are all really concrete, actionable things people can try. Great list. But what if you are doing all this stuff? You're really trying with sleep hygiene, and you're still having major problems. When is it time to get professional help?
That's a really important question. Both sources stress that if sleep problems are persistent and significantly impacting your life, despite your best efforts with hygiene, it's definitely time to talk to a doctor.
Okay.
The article specifically flags things like chronic insomnia, difficulty sleeping for weeks or months. Also, loud, persistent snoring, especially if paired with excessive daytime sleepiness, that could indicate sleep apnea.
Which is serious.
Very serious. Other things to look out for are night terrors, or maybe restless leg syndrome, that uncomfortable urge to move your legs when trying to rest. If any of that is happening regularly, definitely consult a medical professional or a sleep specialist.
Don't just keep struggling alone.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There could be underlying medical issues that need addressing, or specific treatments that go beyond basic sleep hygiene.
Right. This has been incredibly insightful, a really valuable deep dive. So to kind of wrap things up, let's just restate that core message one more time. Sleep. It's not optional, is it? It's fundamental.
It really is. That's the big takeaway from both the article and the podcast. Sleep isn't wasted time. It's not a luxury. It's essential self-care. It's this critical period for restoration, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Prioritizing sleep isn't lazy. It's actually a really smart, proactive investment in your overall health, your brain function, your physical resilience, your emotional well-being. It all depends on it, really.
So the call to action is clear. Take sleep seriously. Start building those routines. Make your bedroom that sanctuary. Really allow yourself the rest your body and mind are crying out for.
And for you listening, I just encourage you to maybe pick one thing, just one or two of these sleep hygiene tips we talked about.
Start small.
Exactly. Start small. Be consistent. You might be surprised at what a big difference even small adjustments can make to how you feel and how you function every day.
And maybe leave you with this thought. In this world that just seems to glorify being busy all the time, maybe, just maybe, making sleep a genuine priority could be the single most powerful investment you make for your health now, for your cognitive sharpness, for your long-term future. It's definitely something worth sleeping on.